Okay, hi everybody. For my critical assignment for Kinesiology 302, Contemporary Health Issues, I decided to research heart disease in women, and more specifically, heart disease being the leading killer of women in the United States. My name is Ashton Robinson, and this is my presentation. So, first of all, cardiovascular disease, but more specifically, heart disease, is the leading killer of women in the world, but more specifically, the United States. There are a lot of things associated with why it's the leading killer, things like ethnic makeup, location, individual health. Although there was recent research that said that um, cardiovascular disease and heart disease were not the leading killer, and that cancer was, that was actually proven false. And the leading killer of women around the world and the United States is still heart disease. Cardio refers to the heart, and vascular refers to all the blood vessels in the body, which is why I decided to narrow it down because heart disease is more specific to diseases of the heart and the muscle. Um, so yeah, we'll talk about some hot topics surrounding heart disease right now. According to cardiovascular disease in women from Science Direct, research suggests that heart disease is the leading killer of women because women are far less likely to notice and acknowledge the symptoms and are less likely to utilize the testing available to them. Symptoms for heart attacks in women are by far and large very different from heart attacks in men. And a lot of times women just kind of brush them off or don't think that they need to get anything tested. Um, Not only is that a reason, but another reason also acknowledges that there are genetic um, differences in women that make them more susceptible to heart disease. So, yeah, another hot topic is from early menopause research from the NCBI. Um, they did a study researching women who reported early menopause leading to cardiovascular disease and heart disease. The research found that early menopause, whether surgically induced from hysterectomy or something like that, or natural menopause in early ages of life, directly correlated to heart disease and cardiovascular disease. Research also indicated that the survival rate of women who reported early menopause and had cardiovascular disease or heart disease or stroke dropped. So women who have early menopause are not surviving as much as women who don't. Um, Early menopause is proven to be a significant predictor of future heart disease or stroke in women across all ethnic backgrounds, is what the research suggested. So it's not just ethnic backgrounds or white backgrounds, it's women across the board. Um, so there are some easy and controllable factors to prevent heart disease for women. Things like quitting smoking, limiting alcohol intake, preventing weight gain and therefore diabetes, remaining healthy and active, going to the gym, walking, running, and eating a healthy diet for the most part. And controlling stress and depression are also a couple ways, which women tend to struggle from stress and depression far more than men. So keeping those levels down will help decrease your risk of heart disease. Um, those are all things that can be prevented, but there are also things that are uncontrollable, but can be contained with certain precautions. Family history of heart disease can lead to, heart disease in you. But like I said before, if you try to follow ways to prevent it, then you have a good chance of not getting it. Things like pregnancy complications, menopause, like I said before, inflammatory diseases like arthritis and lupus can lead to heart disease. Um, but even with these certain things, genetically, treatment plans should be followed in order to keep heart disease low, the risk low and at bay if possible. More prevention techniques, according to the CDC. Another issue of heart disease being such a high killer in women, like I said before, is that women have a harder time detecting symptoms of things like heart attacks. Because the symptoms for women are so different. They can be heavy pressure on the chest, sharp pain in upper body, shortness of breath, cold sweats, fatigue, dizziness, or nausea. These are also things that can be related to panic attacks or heartburn or something that you kind of just brush off in everyday life. But it can be a heart attack. It can be something bad, and you tend to not notice until it's far too late. So current issues facing women, heart disease kills 1 in 3 women each year, and roughly about every 90 seconds a woman dies from heart disease, from a heart attack, a stroke, heart arrhythmias. And this is from GoRedFromWomen.org. The Red Dress campaign is to bring awareness to heart disease in women. It also says that 90% of women have one or more risk factors for developing heart disease. So those risk factors, like I said before, were things that you can't control, but also things that you can. Like I said, diabetes, healthy eating, healthy living. Um, More women than men have died each year from heart disease, and the gap between men and women's survival continues to widen. Men are far more likely to survive a heart attack than women are, and that is because women tend to not realize until it's too late that they're having a heart attack, and then by then, nothing can be done. Symptoms are often misunderstood and not caught immediately because they are different. We tend to think heart attacks as pain in left arm and, that kind of stuff. And so when a woman doesn't experience that, it's really hard for them to think that they're even possibly having a heart attack. Um, so heart disease is, although narrowed down from cardiovascular disease, it's still pretty broad. Heart disease is not only heart attacks, it can be a variety of different things, such as heart failure or congestive heart failure, where the heart is still working, but it isn't pumping blood as well as it should be, and therefore it's not getting enough oxygen. Heart arrhythmias, the heart is either beating too fast or too slow, or even just irregularly. It's skipping beats, which can cause the heart to not be able to pump enough blood to support the body. Um, and then there are also heart valve issues, the heart not opening enough to allow proper blood flow. If your body is not getting enough blood, then that is potentially a really bad thing. So those are some different forms, or at least sub branches of heart disease. So in all, heart disease is the leading killer of women in the United States. There are many means of prevention. Like I said, healthy eating, staying active, reducing stress. Um, and these are all things that are currently being utilized. There are also a lot of organizations out there like the Red Dress campaign that are bringing light to the issues facing women and encouraging women to pay attention to their symptoms and to really be in tune with their bodies to make sure that they can notice when something's going on. There are tons of studies being really released to provide further research into the issue of heart disease itself, and all the research is always being used to find new ways of prevention and is bringing to light new things that we might not have known before about why heart disease is in women and why this and why that. So that's always good. So, with the help of all these researches and everything else, we can hopefully lower the percentage of women's deaths from heart disease, hopefully in the coming years. And that is my presentation on